Winning. Hey, everybody. My name is Craig Rieger. I'm the co-founder of Rieger Coaching and Consulting. We are based out of Portland, Oregon, and we have been absolutely crushing helping agents do online lead conversion throughout the last year. We opened a division of our company, and it's been incredibly successful. Joe and his team, located out of Knoxville, Tennessee, is one of our recent graduates. So when Joe comes on board, we'll be excited to share with him some of the steps and processes they took to really boost production in the second half of 2022 and what we all know is a challenging market. So Joe, where are you located out of?
We are in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Right on. And how big's your team?
We've got a team of about 15 folks, around 10 salespeople and 5 support staff. Good
job. And the official name of your team is Fox and Fogarty, and Tyler Fogarty is your partner. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Awesome. You guys went through our online lead conversion program. We teach our RCC. What was that, like Q2, Q3-ish, somewhere along those lines?
Yeah, Q3 bleeding into early Q4.
Right on. That turned out pretty well for you guys.
It was wonderful. It was great.
Well, I love the timing because you guys onboarded right as the market kind of changed, and it was just a fun time to work with you in the new world that we're in, and resurrecting some old leads and converting the new leads at a higher level. So why don't we dive into and get started? When you came on, what I was essentially sharing is the biggest mistake that I see agents make, Joe. They're treating online leads like traditional real estate. Right. And at the end of the day, if I meet somebody in an open house or get a referral, or even if I get a call from like a past client, family, or friend, I'm going into a very traditional real estate mindset. Like, hey, let's get together. Let's come to my office. And maybe in the COVID world, or if they're out of state, I was setting up a Zoom, and we're taking them through this long series of questions about their needs, their motivation, their financial capabilities, any other agents they've talked to. Would you agree that's kind of traditional real estate?
Yeah, it's like, you know, the guys that know the movies, Glengarry Glen Ross, and always have the ABC mentality, right?
Yeah. And what is it you think that the online lead or online consumer is looking for, Joe?
The easy button.
Yeah.
Just give them what they want, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. I'm heading to New York City for Inman in a couple of days. I've been ordering some things I want to take with us. And it's literally, I'm just on Amazon, I'm pushing a button, and I've got 99.9% confidence that when I show up tomorrow or the next day before I get on that plane, it's going to be sitting on my doorstep.
Yeah.
Or it's the same thing as ordering an Uber, right? Like, and I really like this one. Like, I order an Uber, and if all goes well, 3 to 11 minutes later, that Uber just shows up. I jump in the car and it takes me to my destination.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to put in your credit card information. There's no additional steps. They just show up and get you where you want to go.
It's just an easy button. Now let's imagine that same Uber driver has a series of questions. Like, I push the button and then I get a phone call like, hey, is your credit card going to work? It's raining in Portland, Oregon. You have mud on your shoes. I just cleaned my car. Hey, it's 1 a.m. Have you been drinking? Like, what if they ask me all these questions? Would that really change that easy button for my experience?
Right. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I fully understand those are important questions to ask when we ask a new lead that comes in. But with the online consumer, they pushed a button saying, show me this property. And we're taking them through the series of questions. And we're actually, for them, we're making it the hard button. So that's the general basis of converting online leads. And it really contradicts for people like myself that have been doing this a long time. Like, we're supposed to take them through this process. No, not with the online consumer. We're literally supposed to meet them where they're at and take them through a process. So can I just walk you through, Joe, what our best scripting is?
Yeah, perfect.
So I get connected with you. You're an online lead. Let's say it's through Zillow. Use that as an example. It's a live connection. A lot of other companies are doing that now as well. And essentially what Zillow's going to say is, hey, this is Joe Fox, and he's interested in 123 Main Street. Joe, I've got Craig Rieger here. He's a local expert in Portland, Oregon. Then they drop out of the conversation. So I started with Joe. How are you?
Doing well, Craig. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for allowing Zillow to connect us. I'm a local premier agent here in Portland, Oregon, with a ton of experience. And Joe, it looks like you want to see 123 Main Street in Portland, Oregon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. How does 3 o'clock today work for you?
3 o'clock actually works perfect.
Outstanding. Well, why don't I plan on getting it scheduled for 3 o'clock? I do have to verify with the seller that time works for them, but it definitely works for you and I. So at the end of this call, I'll send you a quick text confirming it or giving some alternative times. Joe, I understand you found this property online. You probably looked at some others. While we're out at 3 o'clock today, is there any additional properties you want to see?
Yep, there's one at 125 and 128 Main Street. I'd love to see those as well.
Fantastic. And I'll go out of script for a second. When people are looking online, they have always identified more than one home. Like 50% of the time, just as Joe just said, like they've got additional properties like right on the screen in front of them. And other times, at worst case, they'll send you a text or email to add some extra. So staying out of script, if I'm meeting Joe at 1 o'clock today, show him one property, do I have a chance to forge a relationship? A chance to, yeah. But if I showed Joe multiple properties, there's a high probability by the end of that day, Joe and I have forged a relationship and I'm going to be his agent moving forward. All right, Joe, that's great news. I've got you down for all three of those. We'll continue. We'll start at the 123 Main Street at 1. And then Joe, I just have one final question for you. Out of all the properties for sale in Portland, Oregon, why did you pick that one? What drew you to it?
Same neighborhood as my parents, and it's in the school system that I want my kids to be.
Oh, fantastic. So you're going to get support from mom and dad with the kids and that's where you want your kids to get their education. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, I'll see you at 1 o'clock at 123 Main Street. Again, I'll verify that with the seller. I'll send you a text making sure that that works for them. And then I'll get the other two scheduled as well. Have a great day.
You as well. Thanks, Craig.
So it's a little bit different than what we traditionally do. I don't know if Joe's got an agent. I don't know if Joe's an axe murderer. I don't know if Joe filed Chapter 11 yesterday. All I know is this guy wants to see 123 Main Street, and a bonus for me, he wants to see 2 other homes, and I've agreed to meet him at the property. It's weird, right?
Yeah. You know, we've been with Zillow for going on 10 years now, and the traditional sales approach worked really, really well for a long time. You could get on the phone. Folks were willing to have that conversation, go through the entire lengthy questionnaire of ways to pre-close and pre-qualify. And just in the past few years, we've seen this shift away from it. And our conversion rate was really struggling. And there were multiple things that we've been able to employ since working with you guys that have just dramatically improved on a multiple different metrics. But I think ALM was probably one of the most impactful for our teams. It's just stop pre-qualifying. You're scaring people away, right? You're asking too many questions of this folks before you even got them to know if they want to work with you. So just show up to the property, make it easy for them, and you can have that opportunity to build a relationship once you get face to face.
Absolutely. What Joe just shared is ALM is a script I just took him through. Is number one is set the appointment. And a lot of times the consumer already has a time that they've scheduled. Just make it easy for them. Say yes. Like looking at Joe's team, he's got 10 salespeople, a handful of administrative people. It may not work for him at 10 or at 1 o'clock today, but odds are out of his other 9 agents will work for one of them. So you just set the appointment, go to when they want. It's no different. You ever push the button with Zillow and it says the car's going to be there in 7 minutes. And then a few minutes later, it reconfigures and says 11 minutes. Like, just go to where they want, set the appointment. You can always get that rescheduled later when the listing agent or seller won't let you come in at that time. So A is set the appointment. A is for appointments. Location is, Joe, while we're out together, and I know you found this property online, is there any others you want to see? And just as Joe did, that was a very natural role play. It's not uncommon. He throws a couple more on. That's a benefit. And then, of course, last but not least is motivation, the M. Joe, of all the properties for sale, what drew you to this one? And it's very quick, but it gives you insight. School district and parents live in the neighborhood. So if we can just stick with that script and not deviate from it, the odds of conversion go up substantially. Joe, I personally heard thousands of these calls over the last couple of years. And it's amazing when agents go to traditional real estate. And I'm just a bystander hearing this recorded call. You can hear the wind exhale from the consumer. It's like, they're not saying it because they're nice, but it's just like, are you kidding me? I just want to see this house at 1 o'clock today. I didn't want to talk about where I work and how much money I make,
No.
Awesome. Go ahead, buddy.
No, it's just we have been seeing, I mean, the last couple of years, some like seriously diminishing returns on Zillow, where in years past, it's been one of our more, profitable marketing arms. So when we were able to connect with you guys, ALM was fantastic in just simplifying that initial conversation with the client, but it was equally as important for us to really dig in on the metric side. And I don't want to jump ahead, but I think those are probably the two biggest takeaways for us is employing ALM and just tracking, basic tracking. We had some tech issues that were going on with Zillow that we were able to uncover just by digging in and understanding exactly what was going on with different algorithms with Zillow, and we've seen some drastic improvement. I mean, our answer rate was showing on Zillow's end as like 30%. And now the last 2 months, we've been, I believe it's 81 and 81% the last 2 months of answer rates since we've gone in and actually looked at the back end metrics and make sure that we're hitting all the data points. We've also been able to achieve best of Zillow. And for us in our market, there's just a handful of folks that have achieved best of Zillow. And that's opened up some new marketing opportunities, some bonus ad spend. We've got the opportunity to take a look at zip codes prior to them being offered to the rest of our competition in Knoxville. So overall, it's just been a wonderful experience, and we couldn't thank you guys enough.
Well, we appreciate you guys. You're absolutely like top of the list of our favorites, which is why I asked you to co-host with me today. And yeah, those metrics are critical, like through the whole process. Like number one is answer rate. And you're spending thousands of dollars to have leads come to your company. Are we actually capturing those? That starts with us and our agents picking up the phone. Number two, which we just went through, is appointment set rate. At a minimum, what we coach our clients to is a 75% appointment set rate. So for round numbers, for every 10 leads that your company gets, we want 7 or 8 of them to say, yeah, Joe, I'll meet you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. There might be a multitude of reasons that appointment cancels or what have you, but at the bare minimum, 7 to 8 say, I'll meet you there tomorrow. Weird. And this is a proven fact. When you meet with a consumer face-to-face, you are 3 more times likely to do business with them than not meeting with them face-to-face. I know that's craziness, but it works. So 75% appointment, and then we want a 50% net rate. So you get 10 leads, 7 of them simply say, I'll meet with your agent, and 5 of the 10 actually do.
Yeah. Yeah. And just knowing those, kind of having that barometer for us to work from within our business. These weren't the thing I really liked about how you presented these accountability tools and accountability measures. This isn't from a big brother standpoint. This isn't from, corporate America. We want to see what everybody's doing at every second of their day. I mean, we have the antithesis of that culture within Fox and Fogarty. We don't really have that big brother mentality, but just bringing those metrics in to give our sales team, which are highly skilled salespeople, these are highly seasoned sales professionals on our team, just to give them that metric to know where they need to be targeting was really, really powerful, because we really didn't know if the numbers we were hitting on Zillow, if they were good, bad, or indifferent. So just having those metrics to provide ourselves and our team to strive to hit those goals was just really powerful.
That's good stuff. I saw somebody just had a question coming in. Bella will give us some questions at the end, but they said, what's ALM? It's what Joe and I just covered. It's opening script. You set the appointment. You ask about location. Is there other homes they want to see? And then M is motivation. Like, Joe, of all the homes for sale, why did you pick this one? So, all right, Joe. So we're going on these meetings. We're sending our team members and agents on these meetings. They know very little, right? They literally just know, I'm seeing you at 1 o'clock. There's other homes you want to see, and your mom lives in the neighborhood and your kid goes to the school. So transition that. Like, we get there, we're showing them the home. Like, what do we do at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's when you really start selling, right? I think first off, you're still having the ALM mentality when you're getting on site. And, there's some of my team members on here that are out there in the trenches every day. They'd be a hell of a lot more qualified to tell you what happens when they actually get folks on site, because they're boots on the ground. But, for me, it's just being in sales for a long time. It's still providing. I like that mentality of the easy button, still just get them in the house. Make sure that you're answering questions, you're nearby, but you're not hovering, and just slowly start utilizing your sales tactics to get to know them and build rapport and start working them down the funnel.
Yeah, 100%. That's where I agree. Give them the space, but also that's where you can move into more of traditional real estate and talk about financing and how long have you been looking and those types of things. Outstanding. And then you and I did a pre-fund for this, and you brought up something that we covered, and your coaches here at RCC covered a high level during our call, and it was it made me smile when you said it. It was gold bars. So
Oh, yeah.
not everybody's going to hire us at the house, right? Not everybody's going to say, okay, you guys are great. You're my agent. Let's buy a home tomorrow. So follow-up strategies are critical regardless of source of business. What's a gold bar and how does your company use it?
Yeah, I think as salespeople in general, we get into this mentality of reaching out just to reach out. And a lot of times it's just maybe to hit a certain metric for how many calls you're making in a week or a day or a month. And you're just kind of going through the motions. And sure, every now and then you're going to get somebody when you say, hey, how you doing? Just checking in. Sure, naturally, you're going to get some folks that raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm actually doing well, and I'd like to talk to you about real estate. But reaching out with, the gold bar, it's essentially reaching out with intention and reaching out, to provide true value and not just touching base. So, a gold bar for us would be, hey, just touching base. I didn't know if you noticed what's going on in the market with interest rates. However, we've got a fantastic product that was just rolled out by our premier mortgage partner. And with interest rates around, mid sevens, high sevens right now, they actually have an awesome product, a 2-1 buy down, and we can get you into the mid fives in the first year, mid sixes second year. And it really just gives you the ability as a consumer to control that, these raising interest rates. It gives you the ability to control that monthly payment a little bit more until we see rates settle down. There's 1,000 different gold bars that you can offer. And for me, it's not like, reach out with intention and reach out with value. But what the gold bar is, I don't really think is as important as simply reaching out with a gold bar, because it's different. It's a different approach. Everybody's bombarded by salespeople that are simply reaching out. When you have a salesperson that's reaching out and differentiating themselves by providing value, whether it's a mortgage gold bar or it's a real estate market gold bar or an invitation to a client event, that's kind of inconsequential to me. It's just the ability to set yourself in a different scale of salesperson because of that differentiation of providing value versus asking for something.
Wow. Yeah, nailed it. Here's what a gold bar is not: setting people up on a search. No. Right? They can all do that on 1,000 portals themselves 25 times a day. Gold bar is not checking in saying, do you want to see a home? A gold bar is exactly what you said. Like, hey, rates are around 7 and my preferred mortgage partner is something to get you down to 5. Right? A gold bar is, hey, there's this poor family, well, they're going to be poor, that bought a house a year ago for 700. The market has changed and a job transfer has forced their sale and are currently on the market at 625. They've come down $75,000 compared to what they paid for it 11 months ago. That's a gold bar. Or even our own market today. I was going over this with a couple of my sales folks. Joe, we haven't talked in a few months. Like, my market is at a 51% decline in pendings. 51%. So if we track like the month of December of last year versus the month of December of the previous year, a 51% decrease in pendings. I've got good news. This week in my market, there's only a 20% decrease. So is our market still having less sales than it's had? Yes. But I was elated, like, wow, a 20% decrease is the best market Portland, Oregon has had in like 7 months. So that's a gold bar to call up all of our seller leads and share, hey, I know a lot of you think spring or summer is the best time to sell. There's something happening in the market right now where more sellers are being successful than we've seen in 7 months. I loved what you said. It's not about what the gold bar is. It's a mentality and mindset. If I'm going to reach out to you, I'm going to offer you something that may be shocker of value. That's all the gold bar is.
Yep.
Really good. Really good. You touched on metrics earlier. And as you shared, right, when we first started coaching your team, answer rate was like 30%. Last couple of months has been in the high 80s. That's a good thing.
Yep.
And I get it. A lot of us got into some bad habits, when the market was so insane. And by default, like, I'm not judging that. When you meet people on a Thursday and they're writing offers by Friday morning and you're competing at 7 to 42 offers, there's so much going on. Like, bad habits are going to creep into our business because you just don't have the time. What I love about our coaching companies, we're helping teams like yourself get back into them faster. Like, what are some, and so one of those was you guys monitoring answer rate. Like, what are some other conversion statistics as the owner of a very successful, good sized team you're looking at now on a weekly basis?
Yeah, we are, we're tracking emails, calls, and again, I think it really goes back to the way that it was presented by RCC and it, for our culture, we didn't want to instill accountability tools that were seen as Big Brother. We really wanted to provide tools that were simply giving our agents the just absolute best opportunity for success. And when we started tracking these things, we not only saw that there was, specifically to our answer rate with Zillow, we not only noticed that we could be answering the phone more often. Yes, so of course, we started treating that with much more priority. But we also found that there were issues on the back end with Zillow that were completely out of our team's control. So I think just in general, when it's easy not to look at your metrics when you're profitable. But when you're seeing $10,000 a month on Zillow and you're not closing any deals, that it's funny how that works. How you start paying attention to the metrics, right? Yeah, yes. Wow. So we really took that approach of, all right, let's really start to dig in here and understand where those areas for growth and opportunity are. And that answer rate was huge. That was a very big one for us. Just not only by giving our team the ability to connect with more people, but when you're hitting those metrics with Zillow, they monitor that. If you think that Zillow is not wanting to give leads to their highest performing teams, you're wrong. They want to be sending more leads to their higher performing teams. So for us, it not only gave our agents more opportunity to have more conversations and build more relationships, but we also got noticed by Zillow as being a highly drastically improved team, and our answer rate is one of the highest in our market, and we've seen more leads come our way because of it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we can talk about the other metrics. That didn't really answer your question directly on metrics, but if I just wanted to zero in on one, I really think that answer rate was critical. And then as long as we're following those others, appointment set rate, we're really dialing in, making sure that 75% is hit. Some weeks we're on, some weeks we're off, but at the end of the month, we tend to be hitting on average exactly that metric. And then the 50% met rate. And those are converting to offers. Now, it is definitely slower. There's no doubt, but these small changes have gone a really, really long way. You guys aren't teaching rocket science. RCC just has a very pragmatic approach to what the consumer is looking for in today's market and gives you the playbook of how to implement it in your daily routine. So we've implemented it and followed you guys blindly, and it's been really, really successful.
That's really cool. Thank you. And thank you guys for the success you've had and the dedication to the ownership. I think that's one of the reasons you and I forged a long distance friendship. I'm excited to meet you in person at some point because you guys really showed up as owners and you're like, hey, we know we've got really good team members or experienced or successful and the market's changing. And you were hyper engaged at helping them do things a little different than they've previously done to have success in this changing market. Whether that success is, hey, what you guys used to do on Zillow has changed, because I believe the consumer's changed. Like, I'm using Amazon and Uber a hell of a lot more today than I was 7 or 8 years ago. Like, we're our mindset of immediate gratification is heightened compared to it was. So you change the philosophy on that. And then, even just the tracking, I appreciate the stats you shared, but we're also just tracking like little simple adjustments, like new lead being moved into attempted contact, being moved into met, being moved into follow-up, being moved into pending, being moved into rejected because they're a creeper weirdo. Like, it may not seem like a big deal, but moving people through a process, and it doesn't matter where the lead comes from, and ensuring that your agents are actively working them through the steps will greatly increase conversion. I think with old leads right now, I would challenge everybody on today's webinar, regardless of lead source, Zillow, Google pay-per-click, Facebook, go and look at all of the leads that you created or purchased somewhere between like March and October. And we saw a lot of people not acting. There was a lot of panic when the interest rates went up. Hell, there was a lot of panic before interest rates went up. We had a lot of buyers just back out of the market because they didn't want to compete against 7 or 25 offers for every single property that they went after. And what you're going to find, and we're seeing it at a really high level with my personal team, the teams we're coaching, Joe, is there is a gold mine in those leads from about March through October that for whatever reason, I love the term we hear often with our agents, they ghosted us. Like, I thought things were going well, Joe, and they stopped calling us back. Re-engage with them, offer them a gold bar. And I think you might be surprised at how many are ready to act in the next couple of months.
Yeah, no, and thanks for the kind words about our team. I've personally really enjoyed working with you and everyone else on your team, but the credit really goes to our teammates. They're the ones that are out there grinding every day and implementing these tools into their day-to-day. And I think everybody has seen, yeah, don't get me wrong, it isn't a perfect seamless interaction when you're implementing change, right? There's always going to be some challenges. There's always going to be some hiccups. But overall, I've just been really impressed with the way that our team has embraced these new tools and these new approaches to how we're dealing with customers. And it's translated through multiple facets of our business. While this has been specific to Zillow, is how we were originally engaged with you, that's transcended into how we deal with all lead types. So it's just been even more valuable when you look at it at that macro level and say, we're taking this approach throughout every facet of the business, not just specifically to Zillow.
I appreciate you saying that. When we developed this here at RCC and really started thinking, what does the online consumer want? They don't want traditional real estate up front. They definitely want it later, but they just want to see that property. I was like, okay, let's beta test this on our online leads, Zillow and some others, but no way would I do this with an open house lead. And no way would I do this with a Sphere referral. No way would I do this with a past client. And then like 6-7 months into it, the results were so staggering. The reviews were so high because we're giving the consumers what they wanted as they wanted it, that we then started trickling it into our traditional forms of real estate business, but doing it in the way the world is acting today. And yeah, man, it's just like you, I'm not going to sit here and say, wow, like everything's amazing. Like literally, I closed 200 less transactions than I expected to close last year. My own team did. But I still hit over 400. So it didn't suck. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't put these principles first in the online lead and then second brought some of them over to some of our other lead sources. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool. It's where we're at. I know we're going a few minutes over. We started a few minutes late. Bella, I'm seeing a lot like, hey, can I get these scripts? Yes, we're going to have a download for you, a couple downloads. One is we're going to have the video go out to all of you in like the next 24 hours, or today's webinar will be sent to a recording of it. And number two is Bella's going to compile all of our best scripts here at RCC related to the ALM. And she's going to have that for a download for you in like the next 3 or 4 days. But Bella, before we get off, was there any questions that are not going to be answered in our downloads that you saw that you're welcome, Jennifer, that you saw that you want Joe and I to answer? Crushing it, Bella. Perfect. Well, if you see any, feel free to interrupt us and let us know.
I saw one come through that was asking about other lead generation sources. We've been the past year, we've really kind of taken the shotgun approach and said, all right, we're just going to try a bunch of different stuff. And we know it's not all going to work. We went into it with the mentality of, we're just going to go out and we're going to say yes to a lot of different lead generation services. And we're going to track them. We're going to monitor them. We're going to see what type of return we're achieving. And, you can't go into it with, I'm only going to try this for a month or 2 or 3. I'm a big believer that lead generation has to be given enough time to work through the kinks. But once we had enough time to work through, we had some losers, but we also had some winners. And we're going to continue to take that approach. We're going to continue to refine that approach. Zillow, we're still with Zillow. I don't see that changing. Our numbers have, our return is still down on Zillow compared to years past. But I think as the market improves, and our approach to how we handle that Zillow lead improves, we're going to continue to be with Zillow most likely for a very long time. We've had a lot of success with one that I would encourage you to look into is platform marketing. And Craig, I don't know if you ever connected with Tim. I know that I connected you guys via email, but I'd really encourage you guys to look at platform marketing. It's Facebook lead based, but it's a little bit different. You know, there's 1,000 different companies out there that offer Facebook lead generation. Tim and his team have a completely different approach that's really focused on retargeting, not just getting folks to click on an ad, but what happens after they click that ad, and what happens if they click off of that ad, and how are we tracking this person through their entire lifespan on social media now that we know who they are, that they click on us one time. So platform marketing, the owner's name is Tim Chermak, Chermak. Really sharp guy. We've had a lot of leads coming through. These are very much so nurture type leads. These are not high intent leads like Zillow. You're catching them at the top end of the funnel. What his approach is called high hanging fruit instead of low hanging fruit. So instead of always going after these folks that are ripe and ready for the picking, that are ready to pounce on a house right now, Tim's approach is to get them much earlier in the funnel, gives you the time to build that relationship. And while they aren't high intent, there's a high volume. And I think that I'm really excited about our first 2.5 months with them. And I would encourage you, if your market is available, it's only one agent per market. So and that's a hard, fast rule. I tried to break that rule. It wasn't available in Knoxville, but it was available in a neighboring county, Sevier County, which is still really active. So we gobbled up the county that was closest to us. And then I'd encourage you to just get creative, but again, take that similar ALM approach to any lead type, but get creative and try new things, and don't quit after 30 days. Give it the appropriate amount of time.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of questions. I'm kind of scrolling through as you were talking, Joe. And it's like, what if it's a lucky loop? What if it's just, it's like, who cares? Like, we already know that we are 3 times more likely to conduct business with somebody if we meet them face to face. So whatever the lead source, the goal is to get a face-to-face appointment. Oh, by the way, a lot of our face-to-face is virtual showings, because why? A lot of online leads are currently living in a different location, out of state, out of area, and we're offering to do an online or a virtual showing for them. Let's do a live showing. And yeah, you're gonna have a couple looky-loos. Like, what I'd encourage is, don't crap on a really great strategy. We see some big supporters on here of ALM, like, oh, I met with one person, her sister was an agent, I drove an hour and it wasted. Cool. You know what? Every real estate agent on the planet has wasted a truckload of time. But if you all the metrics that Joe and his team are working through, get 10 leads, have 7 say they'll meet with you, 5 actually do, and the market's a little bit down, but in a good market and when properly followed, you can expect 1 to 2, and in some cases even up to 3 escrows out of those 10. And I don't know of too many other lead sources beyond referral and Sphere and past clients that 3 out of 10 will close a home with you in the next 90, 180 days if you follow this process. So instead of being frustrated with a couple of times that you wasted your time with a looky-loo, you're meeting a human being that wants to see a home. Do that 5, 6 times a week, by the way, a new relationship. And I'll bet you have more escrows in February and March than you've recently had. It works incredibly well.
Yeah.
Somebody asked you a consult post meeting. Yeah, like, go back to being a traditional realtor pretty quickly after shaking their hand. We just see the ball consistently dropped up front. If you weren't on earlier, it's like that where I started. It's like you order an Uber and they call you with 25 questions. Shit, I would just hit delete and start walking, Joe.
Yeah.
But if they pick me up and get me where I want to go, it may turn onto that drive. We forge a relationship. In fact, I've tried many times to offer the Uber driver, hey, can I just hire you to drive me around the rest of the day? And by their rules and regulations, the answer is no. But in our business, you meet them where they want to be met. And then we want them to choose us to see all the other properties.
Yep.
Pretty neat. Any final words you want to share before we jump off, Joe?
You know, as far as Zillow specific goes, you know, I really would discourage anybody from investing significant marketing dollars into Zillow if you don't, at a bare minimum, dig in on some of the freebie stuff that RCC offers. But I'd really encourage you to engage their services. It'll pay huge dividends if you're thinking about either getting into Zillow for the first time, or staying exactly where you are in your spend, or doubling your spend. I get nothing by saying that. I'm not going to have Craig send me a check for endorsing their business. It just truly has been that impactful for us, and I'd encourage anybody to sign up, because there's a ton of value there.
Oh, Joe, that was incredibly generous of you. Thank you. And you didn't even know it, but perfect segue into my slide, which is, yeah, we do Zillow conversion coaching. It starts at $500. We have teams as large of 100 agents, multiple of them that have hired us the last 30 days that are spending in excess of $100,000 a month that have onboarded. And then we have teams that are spending $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month. So if you're interested in that, scan the QR code on the left side of your screen. And if you're interested in our traditional one-on-one, what I call leadership coaching, which is about conversion, growth, balance, leadership, and all traditional coaching, which we feel RCC we do at a really high level, scan the one on the right. And if you're set in either one of those, well, hopefully Joe and I gave you some great things to think about as you're approaching your online leads moving ahead. So Mr. Fox, I can't thank you enough for spending a few minutes with us and our audience today. And I look forward to seeing you soon, man. Thanks again.
Absolutely, Craig. Great to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.